Glad tidings, glad tidings.
Glad tidings!
I'm here with my friend Moji today,
Hello!
and we're going to go over 11, there's a lot more, but we're going to go over 11 fun Baha'i facts for you.
Fun
All right?
facts!
So here we go. We're going to jump right in. First one. What a subject to start with? Life on other planets. What? Crazy? Yeah. Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, thank you, Pat, for bringing this one up to us. Heck of a subject to start with, but why not? According to Baha'u'llah, the prophet founder of the Baha'i faith, in his writings he's written, "Know thou that every fixed star has its own planets, and every planet its own creatures,
Wow.
whose number no man can compute."
That's pretty cool.
And then he also says, "Verily I say, the creation of God embraceth worlds besides this world, and creatures apart from these creatures."
You know what's really interesting about this? I think people kind of have this feeling or have had this feeling that there is life on other planets, but this is the first time we've had a messenger confirm that.
How about it?
And I think that's really cool.
Fun fact.
My turn now?
Oh, one more thing.
Okay, good.
And then Abdul Baha, who is Baha'u'llah's eldest son, eldest son and successor, has said, "There are other worlds than ours which are inhabited by beings capable of knowing God."
Wow.
Which means intelligent life, right?
That's amazing.
Pretty cool.
That's really amazing.
First fun fact.
Thanks for
Moji,
sharing
you're
that.
up.
Okay, my turn. So another very fun fact is that women in the Baha'i faith, they play a very important, integral, central role. And I'm going to share about the first female disciple. So the Baha'i faith boasts the first appointed disciple of any major prophet.
That's historic.
That's really cool. So her name was Tahira, or Tahira, depending on what how you like to pronounce that. And that means the pure one in Arabic. And she was appointed as a disciple of the Bab, who was the herald prophet of the Baha'i faith. He was a co-founder also of the Baha'i faith. So the Bab's disciples were called the Letters of the Living, and there were 19 of them. And Tahira she was so remarkable. She was just known for her beautiful poetry. She would just rival men always behind a curtain, because that's how it was back then. But she would she would speak about like these very deep like topics that people were just always blown away by her. But because she was just this powerhouse, this amazing woman, a fiery woman, she ended up being martyred while defending and proclaiming and teaching about the new faith of God, as well as the rights of women. So I really love her. She's one of my favorite Baha'i figures.
Yeah, she has such an important role. This is tip of the iceberg what we read. I hope you guys will investigate Tahira or Tahare on your own, because she had one amazing life.
She had another name as well. It was called Gurutul Ain, which is solace of the eye. So
Solace of the eye.
Yeah, she's very well known.
All right. Next one. They gave up the power. And thank you, Marat, for this one. What am I talking about? They gave up the power. In 1957, the leader of the Baha'i faith unexpectedly died. His name was Shoghi Effendi, and he was called the guardian of the faith. And when he died, a group of his top assistants, who are called the Hands of the Cause of God, automatically became the leaders of the Baha'i faith. Now they had all the power and the authority. What did they do with this power? They used their power to ensure the goals of this 10-year plan, which the Guardian had just previously given us, which was to end in 5 years' time. Those goals were achieved. And so one of these goals was to build a faith in numerical numbers to the point where an institution called the Universal House of Justice could be elected. And it was very important because this institution was guaranteed divine guidance, just as the Guardian was, and these Hands of the Cause were not. So they knew they needed to get this election to the point where it could happen. And this is one of the most, that's historic, but then one of the even more historic points is they told the electors, the people who were going to vote for the membership of the House of Justice, they told them, do not vote for us. The Hands of the Cause said, do not vote for us. Okay?
That's so cool.
And then, and now think about it, this is going to be the supreme institution. So
the international governing institution of the Baha'i faith.
Yeah, and none higher. So they said, don't vote for us. And then when the institution was elected, they completely gave up the power and became submissive to the will and the guidance of the Universal House of Justice.
Isn't that a beautiful thing? Like, can you imagine our society, how much better it would be if people who were in power were so humble that they were like, don't vote for me. Like, it's not, they were doing so much for the Baha'i faith as it was at that time, but they wanted to allow this institution to be built with the people who were elected, who were not already at the forefront of the Baha'i faith, which is just so interesting. Nowadays, people are just like, how can I get into power? How can I use my power? How can I control everything? And it's just,
and
it's
when
just
you look
not
back
that
at religious history,
yeah.
There's no example of that. When those who had the power,
they always want
they
to
kept
keep it and consolidate it.
And that's another one of the stories we'll be talking about later on tonight. Anyway, so.
Thanks for sharing that. I like that one. Okay, next fun fact. Educate the girls first.
What?
Thank you, Moji, for this fact. Oh, wait, that's me.
That was her idea.
That's my idea. So, girls take precedence over boys in the Baha'i faith. What does that mean? Everyone's equal in the Baha'i faith, but what does this really mean? So, yes, the Baha'i faith, it does prioritize the education of girls. Why is that? Well, if there's a monetary problem and the parents cannot educate all of their children, they must educate the girls first, because Abdul Baha, who we explained earlier who Abdul Baha was, he explains, furthermore, the education of women is more necessary and important than that of man. For woman is the trainer of the child from its infancy. If she be defective and imperfect herself, the child will necessarily be deficient. Therefore, imperfection of women implies a condition of imperfection in all mankind. For it is the mother who rears, nurtures, and guides the growth of the child. So, could the student be brilliant and accomplished if the teacher is illiterate or ignorant? No, obviously we know that's not the case. So mothers are the first educators. Women hold a very important role in this, and they need to be perfect. Of course, we're all we're striving for perfection, but women are pretty close. And so that's why it's very important.
I'm not going to argue.
Good job, smart man. That's why education of women is very important, and we actually see in societies where women do get education that that education and that wealth comes back to the family. And so we've also seen in practice in social and economic development projects throughout the world that when women are educated, it actually allows the family unit and the village to flourish. So make sure your girls are getting educated.
Great point, Moji. It's not just Abdul Baha's opinion, his very learned opinion, but it's been shown and documented in societies all over the world to be the truth.
Well, I mean, that's what it is. When God says something, it's not just like something to be said. It actually has practical implications that are, that are obvious when you see them at play. So that is one very, very amazing and good example of that. So thank you for letting me share that.
First in America. Thank you to Saeed, and with apologies to White Buffalo Calf Woman. Abdul Baha, who we talked about, who is a major religious figure in the Baha'i faith, he came to America in 1912. Thank you. 1912, and he is the first major religious figure of any religion to come to and visit the United States. He came, as we said, and why is he major? Because not only is he Baha'u'llah's eldest son, but he is in Baha'u'llah's written covenantal documents, he names him as his successor. He is his center of his covenant and authorized interpreter of his word. So this is a very high and unique station.
Can I ask you a question?
Certainly.
You said with apologies to White Buffalo Calf Woman, is
Yeah.
that because she was the Native American
Yes.
messenger? Okay, because
Yeah.
I thought I remember hearing that. So she was,
Yeah.
we know through Native American history and culture that they also received divine guidance through the form of messengers or prophets, and they refer to one as being the White Buffalo Calf Woman.
And she was already here.
She was here in America before,
here.
but of course there's not as much written documentation in some of these cultures.
So apologies to her. So Abdu'l-Baha arrived in New York City on April 11th, 1912. He spent 8 months traveling the United States and Canada. And just by comparison, could you grab that book?
Yes.
There's pictures of Abdu'l-Baha in there.
Okay, yes.
By comparison, the first pope who came to the United States was Pope Paul VI, and he came in 1965, and he spent a whole whopping 14 hours. That's what I said, 14 hours in the United States. And the Dalai Lama, the first Dalai Lama to come visit the United States, came in 1979. He stayed 7 weeks. So these pictures that's Abdu'l-Baha in the middle here, and that's him in America. A little documentation there. So just a tiny brief summary of his visit here. He spoke in major cities including New York, Washington, D.C., Baltimore, I threw that in there, they didn't have it in the description, Boston, Chicago, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Montreal, and many others. He gave hundreds of talks in churches, synagogues, universities, peace societies, homes, public halls, where he addressed audiences of diverse religions, diverse racial backgrounds, social backgrounds. He spoke at length on subjects of the oneness of humanity, the elimination of racial prejudice, the equality of men and women, the harmony of science and religion, and on and on. And he truly emphasized the importance of racial harmony in America. He made sure that all his meetings were multiracial, and that even the seating was multiracial, because it was a big problem in 1912 when he came here. So he was giving us the example of how we should all be. So that's that.
Thank you for that.
All right.
I love being close to DC and Baltimore, like, driving by Union Station. Of course, they've built the whole buildings and a lot has changed, but just thinking that Abdu'l-Baha came in through Union Station, spoke at Howard University, and
Spoke at Howard University.
I know, it's amazing. And every year, the Baha'is of DC, they actually honor that, and they have like a commemoration of Abdu'l-Baha speaking there every year, and it's really lovely. Or just another, there was I think it was the AME church that also Abdu'l-Baha spoke at. I think it's now, but it's just so cool. You walk by and you're like, oh, Abdu'l-Baha, this very important figure in the Baha'i faith, was speaking at these locations that you can just walk by, and it's very interesting and very.
And many
very
houses
amazing.
that he was in the United States, including Montreal, they're now holy sites that are just preserved. Baha'i faith owns them, and you can visit them.
Thank you for that. Okay, next fun fact. A new modern calendar. Thank you, Douglas, for this fun fact. So just like in every religion, we see that there is a calendar that goes along with that revelation. The Baha'i faith is no different. And we also have a new Baha'i calendar, which is formally called the Bahá'í calendar, which means unique. It is a solar calendar with 365 days, and there are 19 months in each. So there are 19 months in the year, each month having 19 days. And so 19 times 19, if you're a math wizard, it's 361. So what happens with those extra, 361. So what happens with those extra 4 days or 5 days if it's a leap year? Then that is outside of the Baha'i calendar. They are called the Days of God. And so those are kind of have a special occasion associated with it. You may have heard it. It's called a Yamaha, and it's a time where Baha'is do gift giving and service projects and visiting friends. So that's a really fun time too. Something else that's interesting about these 19 months is that they each have their own names. And each of the 7 days of the week also have their own names. So the names of the month, they're really beautiful. I should know all of them, but some
Splendor,
of them.
glory,
Beauty,
grandeur, light, mercy, words, names, wisdom, might.
See, I need to get on that. There's a song. I need to learn the song, but yeah,
Little
there's all
knowledge,
these
power.
beautiful. And so you go into the month thinking about these words and like how you can embody them. It's like almost like a affirmation in a sense when you're going into that month. So I do love that about that. So the final month, I had mentioned those 4 or 5 days a Yamaha. That is right before the final month, which is the month of fasting. And it's usually around March 1st to March 20th or 21st. It actually ends on the first day of spring, which happens to be the Baha'i New Year as well. It coincides with the first day of spring.
Vernal equinox.
Yeah, the vernal equinox. So this year that we're in, 2026, we're in the 183rd year of the Baha'i era. And will you ring in the real New Year with us? It's not just us. A lot of cultures believe that the vernal equinox should be. I mean, we should not be celebrating the first day of the year in the dead of winter. I think everyone can agree with that. I think spring, the first day of spring, it feels more like proper. But
renewal of life,
exactly.
newness,
symbolic, right?
Yeah.
So that's just something fun too. But
yeah, and you're welcome to join us on New Year's because that's a celebration that all people are welcome to celebrate with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert.
Next one. No preachers. Thank you, Saeed. I think that was the second one. Thanks again, Saeed. Believe it or not, Jesus Christ told us that the promised day of God, when it comes, there will be no more preachers or clergy or divines, as Baha'u'llah calls them. Where did Jesus say this, you ask? Well, he said it in Matthew 21, Mark 12, and Luke 20. And in all these verses is where you find his famous parable of the vineyard, where he tells the story of the Lord of the vineyard plants a vineyard, and he leaves it to the husbandman to tend the grapevines, and then when the season of harvest comes, he sends his representative, but the husbandmen don't want to give up the harvest, so they beat and stone and eventually kill the representatives, which are the prophets who come on cyclic time frames. And then the Lord of the vineyard comes because now he's upset because they killed his prophet, which was Jesus. And what does the Lord of the vineyard do? He kicks the husbandmen out, the violent husbandmen out, who are the divines, symbolic divines,
yeah.
And he gives the vineyard to others. And who are the others?
The people?
The Baha'is.
The Baha'is.
Yeah. So here's, I just pulled these off the internet. So here's a picture of the husbandmen see the heir coming, and they say, if we kill him, we'll inherit the vineyard. Right? This is, and then he kill him. I didn't show you that picture. And then here's the Lord of the vineyard saying to the angry husbandman, you're gone, get out. And then here is the meek, peaceful, loving person tending the new person tending the vines, who is the Baha'is. And we Baha'is, we share the love with everyone. That's, as with this video, this is what we're doing. So that's just a little something I found.
Why do you think Baha'u'llah would say that there would be no more preachers in this day?
Well, Jesus said it.
Well, yeah.
And here's what Baha'u'llah says to back up what Jesus says.
Yeah.
He says, O concourse of divines, ye shall not henceforward behold yourselves possessed of any power, inasmuch as we have seized it from you, and destined it for such, the others, for such as have believed in God, the one, the powerful, the almighty, the unconstrained. Why do I think that? Because Baha'u'llah has said, anything that comes out of Jesus' mouth is the truth and cannot be altered. Baha'u'llah says this about Jesus. Anything that came out of his mouth is the truth and cannot be altered. And so why do I think the husbandmen are gone? Because Jesus said so.
Well, why do you think Jesus said it?
Because he knew what...
He knew that
he knew the past,
divines,
and he's talking about himself in this video being martyred. He's telling everybody he's the one, he's the son who's going to get killed.
Yeah.
So...
yeah, it's just something that we've seen. We talked about power initially, and then people in power Remember we were talking about
Yes, this goes back to
the
the other
Universal House
earlier
of
one.
Justice, yeah, and how people in power, they tend to want to hold and consolidate power, and it's no different, unfortunately, with some of the divines that we've seen, the priests. Not all of them. Some of them are true, pure
Absolutely.
lovers of Christ, but sometimes we see that there's this, it's incongruent with what the teachings of Christ said, and I think that that is something that Christ saw, that we need to take the power away from individuals and give it more
To the people.
to the collective.
To the collective. And we in the collective, as Moji just said, we're not going to talk about this, but just because it's coming up, we have 9-member councils or assemblies that it's not one person making a decision. Mm-hmm. It's 9 people on the local level, on the regional level, on the national level, and on the international level. That Universal House of Justice that we talked about earlier, that's a 9-member group.
Democratically elected, no campaigning, secret ballot, in a prayerful manner. And it's such a beautiful process to see, because it's being when somebody gets into that role, they see it truly as humble service to the community. It's truly through humble service. It's not the individual, it's the body.
It's the service.
It's the service. And that's an interesting thing to see, people just completely devoid of any recognition and just serving the community, whether it's at the local, national, or international level. And it's just a really beautiful thing.
Yes, and you should look into that.
Yep.
If that sounded something that was interesting to you,
yeah.
Baha'i Faith, look into it. All right. What's next?
Next, so one thing I wanted to share about were the Baha'i temples around the world. Everybody's prayers are welcome. And thank you to...
Saeed. Oh, Katie.
Katie!
Sorry. Sorry, Katie.
Thank you to Katie for giving us this very fun fact. So, can you imagine the uproar if a Jew or Muslim said a Jewish or Muslim prayer in a Catholic church? I think that there might be an uproar.
Might be a problem.
I like to think some Catholic churches would be okay with it, but you never know. Sometimes you're shaking your head. Sometimes this, the idea of saying a prayer from a different faith in a church or in a mosque, it's not looked highly on. They want to say their own prayers. That's not the case in Baha'i temples. In the Baha'i temple, all Baha'i settings, both formal and informal, allow all prayers to be welcome, whether they're prayers from religion, whether they're prayers from your heart. Prayers are, our conversation and our communion with God, and any form of that is welcome and revered and loved. So all prayers are welcome. Baha'is also hold devotional gatherings, sometimes in their homes or sometimes in their centers. These are just spaces for people of your neighbors, your friends of different faiths to come together and just share uplifting prayers or writings or words. And so from these devotional gatherings that people hold in their homes to the continental temples that Robert just showed, any prayer from any faith tradition is most welcome. At these Baha'i temples, they're called houses of worship. All are welcome, and all attendees are free to go to the main podium and recite their prayer. When the Baha'i faith says that there is only one God and all religions are from the same one God, we truly mean that.
We truly mean it.
You see it in our practice as well. So, and I actually just saw a video on Instagram the other day where a Muslim woman was attending the Lotus Temple in India, and she was so happy to be there, and she was she had her headdress on, and she was and it was just such a beautiful sight. And she even herself said a lot of people here are not Baha'is. It's just all faiths are here, and she made a whole oneness of religion, oneness of God statement in her video too. And it was just so beautiful that our co-religionists are believing and saying those things out in the public. So it's really beautiful.
Groups of Baha'is all over the world, all different cultures who pray together. Anyway, this is good stuff. Thank you for that, Moji.
Sure.
Oh, here's a good one. They're all good ones, but here's a really good one. First female head of a major faith. Really? A female leading a religion? That's what we're telling them here, huh? Well,
we had that in the Baha'i faith.
We do. In the period just after the passing of Abdul Baha, he passed away in 1921, and only a short time into the leadership period of his successor, Shoghi Effendi, Shoghi Effendi was overwhelmed by the death of his grandfather and the new responsibilities that he had. So he felt the need to take a sabbatical. It was 8 months that he left. And before he did, he wrote a letter to all the friends in the world to say, I'm leaving my great aunt, Bahia Khanum, in charge of the faith. And this is a picture of her. So she was not a symbolic caretaker. For those 8 months, she exercised real decisive authority. Without her strong leadership during this short but dangerous interval, the transition to the guardianship could have easily fractured the faith. She took responsibility for managing the affairs at the shrines and the properties, communicating with Baha'is worldwide, and preventing confusion, division, and opportunistic claims of leadership. So, again, so here in the Baha'i faith, you have another example of a female, of a woman who was at the very top of the leadership. We have a disciple, the first named disciple of a prophet, and we have the first woman to run the faith, to lead the faith, and there's many others, but we don't have time for all the rest of them. But I sincerely think you should read up on Bahia Khanum. All right?
Looks like a cool book. I'd like to read it.
You can borrow that if you want.
I've borrowed a lot of books. Okay, next fun fact. Painting is praying. Thank you to Elvis for offering this fun fact. So I love this fact, actually. That's why I wanted to read it. In the Baha'i faith, making art is actually seen as a form of worship. So a musician, a singer, a filmmaker, an actor, or a painter doing their craft with excellence and in the spirit of service is considered to be doing something spiritually powerful, not just entertaining people. So Baha'i writings actually say that, and this is a quote, arts, crafts, and sciences uplift the world of being, which means the promotion of the heavenly virtues in creative work in the entertainment industry is viewed as a way to elevate hearts, build community, and help move society toward more unity and justice. Abdu'l-Baha has written, I rejoice to hear that thou takest pains with thine art, for in this wonderful new age, art is worship. The more thou strivest to perfect it, the closer wilt thou come to God. What bestowal could be greater than this? That one's art should be even as the act of worshiping the Lord. That is to say, when thy fingers grasp the paintbrush, it is as if thou wert at prayer in the temple. Isn't that amazing?
That is certainly an elevation in this revelation of what is considered worship.
Prayer.
And prayer, yes.
You know, I have a theory about this.
What is it?
That when you are creative, and obviously the arts are like the pinnacle of being creative and showing creativity, you are exhibiting a quality of God who is the creator.
The creator.
So now you are embodying that as well. And so when you're connecting to that, the Holy Spirit, you connect to the Holy Spirit in that moment because you are now exhibiting that quality. And really just exhibiting God's good qualities, being good, being kind, being creative, being humble. These are well, God is not humble, but that's the only quality he doesn't. Right. That's the only quality I don't think God needs to embody. Right, but when we embody these qualities, we are connecting with the source of our existence. And I think that's just a very beautiful thing. And I know when I personally am engaging in arts, I feel that connection.
The name of God, the creator or the fashioner or something like that is now moving through you, through that spirit is moving through you. And even work is worship, right? Not just the arts, but your work, that you go to work 9 to 5 and you do that to the best of your ability. That's also in the spirit of service. That's also praying, considered to be praying in the Baha'i faith. So
I have a children's class, and we talk a lot about what prayer is and what prayer looks like. And I've told the children, when you are connecting in nature as well and appreciating the beauty of God through seeing the beautiful trees, seeing the beautiful flowers, and really giving praise to God for the beauty that he created, that is also prayer. So I think that what's amazing in the Baha'i faith is that these things of like praising God's creation, being creative, working for service, acting in a spirit of service and in humility and in love for your fellow human beings, that is a state of prayer. And Abdul actually tells us to, what does he say? I'm trying to remember this quote. How like your daily life, Robert, you're going to remember this. Your daily life is prayer. Like live
as if your entire everything you do is an act of prayer.
Yes.
Yes.
You know what
Something to that effect.
It's something like that. I'm
Yes.
forgetting it right now, but it's just a beautiful thing. Like every day, your life can be a life of prayer. Strive that your actions day by day may be beautiful prayers. That's the quote. Strive that your actions day by day may be beautiful prayers. So even like your actions can be prayers. So I just love that quote. I'm sorry.
No, it's
I
good.
was not remembering it. Thank you for that.
And the last one, and I think we have somewhere in that book, if you can find the picture. No, that's not it.
This is a good picture, though, isn't it?
You know, it is. Anyway, she'll find the picture. So, Carmel and Sharon saw what? You Bible thumpers, you Isaiah lovers will know exactly what I'm talking about. In Isaiah 35:2, Carmel and Sharon, they shall see the glory of the Lord, the majesty of our God. Wow! So as she's holding this up, this is the Mediterranean Sea right here. This bottom part, the darker green, is the Mount Carmel, the upper portion of Mount Carmel. And where all these houses are in the middle, that's on the plain of Sharon. Plain of Sharon, Mount Carmel. And you see this little grove of trees right here? That's where Baha'u'llah himself pitched his tent. Baha'u'llah came 4 times. And here's a better picture of it here. Baha'u'llah came 4 times to visit Mount Carmel. So Baha'u'llah visited Carmel and Sharon 4 times. He pitched his tent on the side of Mount Carmel, inside of that grove of trees you see. And so Baha'u'llah translates into English as the glory of God, or the glory of the Lord. So the only time since Isaiah spoke these words thousands of years ago that this prophecy has been fulfilled in any way, shape, or form was by Baha'u'llah in this last century, when Carmel and Sharon did indeed see the glory of the Lord.
There's so many
fun facts.
I love that fact. There are so many quotes in the Bible that point. It's just like you need to do a whole class.
I did a video on it already.
Oh, yeah, I did. I saw that
called
video.
Fulfillment.
It's good.
Check it out.
Yeah. So that's really great too.
Well, and we could do a lot of videos on that subject. There's just so much.
It's a lot. Yeah.
It just goes and goes and goes. Hey Moshi, thank you so much for doing this video with me.
Thanks so much for having me.
It's been
this
a
was
blast.
Such a joy.
Yeah, I hope you guys enjoy it.
Let us know if you have any comments.
Yeah.
In the comments.
In the comment
section.
section. Subscribe and like. You know the routine. Share. That's even more important. I like if you share with people. That's really the big thing. So I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you in the next one. And God bless you. And hopefully you'll look up your local Baha'i community to continue this conversation. If any of these things piqued your interest, Baha'is of your local town, check them out. They're happy to meet you.
Thanks so much. Bye for now.